Welcome everybody to our second segment. As promised, it's Russell Around the Interwebs. This week on Philly Comedy Club Presents the RUS GUTIN Experience here on Zoom. And as promised, this week we have a Paper House Network double feature, which is the digital sister platform of the New York Comedy Club universe, of which Philly Comedy Club is a part of. And this week, I am so excited to have one of my favorite comics and my best buddies in the entire business, who has one of the flagship podcasts on Paper House Network. That's right. Tonight, we are honored to have the Honorable Commissioner of Comedy, Mr. James Mattern, to the show. Welcome. I'm going to clap for you, James.
Oh my goodness, Russ. Russ, I just finished watching wrestling from this week, and they don't put anyone over as much as you just did there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. I'm the Mean Gene of Zoom show hosts. So,
my goodness, Jim Ross didn't put Steve Austin over as well as that. Thank you.
No. Well, listen, Jim McMahon has to decide between giving me or Triple H his business after he dies. So good luck. So I am so excited. We have never had somebody on the show with such an official title, a commissioner. So this is really exciting. But James, you have an amazing podcast, like I said, on Paper House Network, called The Commissioner of Comedy. And I think that your podcast is just absolutely fascinating, both to comics like me who have been at it for 21 years, but also to people who are just fascinated by comics and our industry, and it gives them a little bit of an inside look and a breakdown of it. And what I love about it the most is I see your passion for our craft. It's so evident in all the episodes you do and all the subjects you cover. I absolutely love it. So my first question for you is, what's the origin story? How did this podcast come to be?
Well, it was kind of like I won't say an accident. I used to joke around. So the title for the podcast, I was reluctant to even call it that, but it's because like, who the fuck am I, to be quite blunt? I mean, but it's a lot cooler than like Comedy 101 or like it just sounds cooler. I used to joke in the green room with like Amy, who's the booker in New York, and other comics about how we see all these bad habits happening and just lawlessness with young comics. And I probably did the same things back when I came up in Vegas, and even probably when I moved to New York, to be blunt. And I was like, man, we need a commissioner. And I always joke, like I talked about wrestling. Pro wrestling has played into this a lot.
Right.
I've learned a lot of like how to carry oneself in this business through, like, I hear old time wrestlers talk about like their rules, and I kind of thought it the same way. So I used to joke that I would be the Undertaker, because the Undertaker used to, when someone got too big for their britches, would demand to work with someone and work stiff. Stiff means in wrestling where I'm actually fucking you up.
Right.
The Taker would fuck the guys up for real, and they couldn't say nothing because the Undertaker. And then I joked like I should just become the commissioner of comedy. So that became a running joke. And then I wrote a post about comics running off the stage, and that got a lot of likes. And then a couple people reached out to me because I said something a week later, because comics were like celebrating bomb threats to comedy clubs because they were upset with Ari Shaffir, and I kind of reprimanded people, and then it's just like, all right, you should do this. So this is how the podcast started, my friend. And quarantine happened, I had nothing else to do.
So I wasn't sure if it was something that just came out of the circumstance, or it seems like it seemed like a perfect storm. It seems like a lot of us had a little bit of time to focus on something that maybe we wouldn't have focused on if that time wasn't given to us, and that's the best we can do. I love that, James, because you and I have both been, hosts with the most, so we see those bad habits, and we are the recipients of that. So the thing you did yesterday, the thing you're talking about this week about running off the stage and leaving it open for somebody to run up, which has happened to me in Atlantic City, or just leaving it empty. You can't do that. And even if I don't like you, let's give off the impression that we have, chemistry and camaraderie backstage. So Bubba, actually, speaking of this, you have covered a lot of subjects already. You're about, how many episodes in are you?
We're at the deuce, buddy.
Yeah, 20 or something, I thought. So you've already covered so many subjects, like dealing with bombing and pressure, the pressure we put on ourselves, and that comes from the outside. You've talked about joke stealing, spot trading, knowing your worth, which I really like. Like, what should you accept and what should you not accept as a professional working in this business. And you have even covered the most controversial of subjects, James, which is whether you can or cannot wear shorts on stage. This is, you know, that's a firebrand subject. You're gaslighting motherfuckers.
People got real pissy about it. It really
Yeah,
does
oh my
divide
God.
people. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no. And speaking of that, but the episode that stood out to me the most and did get the most sort of fiery reaction online, especially in your comment section on social media, was when you posed the question, is heckling a part of comedy, and is it the comedian's job to handle a heckler? Now, my answer to that is a big no, but I wanted you to tell, you know, the audience tonight, like, where did you fall on that question, and were you surprised at the reaction it got from the comics, you know, in particular?
So like I promote the episode by asking questions on Monday, like on Facebook, and see how people reply. And I usually, up to that week, never debate with anyone. I usually just like your comment or say, yeah, great.
Yeah, because people just chime in, you know.
But I push back on this because there was a lot of arrogance on the part of the people who think it's and it's weird. I don't know most people that are following me on Facebook, to be honest. I've made, honestly, I'm not bragging. I requested 10 people my whole life. I just, all right, I accept you. So there, and the tone was like, if you have to ask that, you're in the wrong business. And part of it's also like, so they're showing that they're good. Like, look at me, I can handle it. And also like throwing shade at me for asking, like I'm not good and can't handle it. So I think
it was very aggressive. And you are a very like, you know, easygoing like presence, you know, that's, you put people at ease. So I was surprised. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I've had my meltdowns obviously with him, but like, I'm known for putting, if needed, putting the bullet in the head and doing it all right with hecklers. Like, and I don't think I get heckled too much anymore, knock on wood, because I think they can tell.
Yeah.
But like, just because I can handle it doesn't mean you should have to. It's like, people write jokes and people are quiet and people have nervous energy that don't need to be interrupted. So it's like, why shouldn't they be able to do their art correctly? And so I end up getting like in a Facebook like dispute with some dude I don't know from England, and I feel bad. I want to reach out to him. I've never had a guest. I might want to bring him on because I have seen some clips. It is different. England does in the UK and Ireland do things different, and I think it is encouraged to be part of the show.
Different there. I think that is a little bit expected because you're in these small towns or things like that. So I've been told it's different.
But to me, I mean, this guy was like coming at me like, you're confusing an actor. No, motherfucker, I'm confusing a comic. And then I brought up specials, and I'm like, so cool, man. How come they don't like? How come we don't see Chappelle interacting with the crowd? And
I loved when you said that. Like, Netflix didn't pay to hear, you know, Jack the Welder from Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
He paid to hear Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, and then this dude was like, well, and then he's kind of like, I hate to use this term, he was like comic-splaining me. It was kind of like, hey, these are invites, and they edit, and then he goes like, you must be new to this game. And I was like, yeah, man, I haven't been doing it long, about 20 years. And
just 21 years, you know.
I did warm up for a bunch of specials on Netflix. I've never been to a TV taping. Yeah, I've just, you know.
Right.
Ironically, I warmed up the British night for JFL like a year ago. So people, he probably is begging for stage time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, but I really loved it. And it
was funny, though.
I
was an open micer. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you shared, you know, that you were sort of taken aback by it, because I was too, and I love the reaction videos, because even at one part you said something that I've heard from people who have, you know, it's more, definitely in Atlantic City is something where it is kind of expected. So I steamroll at the top of the show with material. So you set a great tone because you make everybody feel like they're part of the conversation with you. And me, I sort of like steamroll them. So I try to give them like the sign, like this isn't the time. But when they do that after the show, you had that great like where they walk up to you and go, hey man, I was just trying to help. And it's like, I don't need your help.
It's the only job I think that people do that. Like,
it is.
Like, could you imagine trying to jump on the field and tackle someone and be like, I was trying to help you. You stupid bastard. I got drafted. I've been conditioned to become a football player since I was 7. and I get paid huge money to do this and practice 6 days a week to peak here. You're not helping anyone. You don't realize that it just shows, and this is one of the reasons why I do the pod, is that people think that what we do, anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it, right?
And it's that we're not, like, I always tell people, like, the amount of coffee, what I eat, how I work out before, what I read, what I listen to, it all is so I can peak when I get on stage.
Right.
And I'm not the only person who does that. We are professionals. We're trying to get ourselves good, because a lot of us is how we eat. So we have to be as consistent as possible at this. So it's our job. We're skilled at this.
And I appreciate it also. Last thing I want to say on this subject is I went to school for musical theater. I have a theater background. I'm an actor. You know, you can't stand up in the middle of a Broadway show and say, I don't believe you. Like, if you're dissatisfied with Edward Norton's performance in Burn This, you know, they'll fucking drag you out.
The concerts start next year. Again, please bring your guitar to Tool and see if Adam Jones has you plug in next to him.
Yeah, let's see how many. Let's see how that goes, and then
if Danny Carey wants you to help him on drums. Get out of here.
No, it's absolutely preposterous, and I really, really appreciated you talking about that, because even at Gotham, Ed would ask you to stop talking once, and there was no second time. And even though he was small, he works on a farm, I guess, in real life, so he would just lift you up like a barrel. They wouldn't even refund your money. I loved it. Okay.
If you don't think he's painted some houses in the day, let's just leave it like that.
No, and I've seen him. But then, like, when he turns on pre-show music, it's like Carrie Underwood. It's like the happiest country music you've ever.
It's hilarious.
Okay, now, James, you mentioned this too. Now, I think, in my opinion, in 21 years on both coasts, you're the best host I have ever seen with my own two eyes.
Very cool.
And you also mentioned, as everybody in our business knows, that you're one of the best TV warm-up guys in the business. There's like 5 people who can do it. There's you, there's Regina, there's like Ryan Reese, there's a few people that are truly skilled at it. So my question to you is, though, as the commissioner of comedy, you are technically not an elected official, right? As you said, you are appointed or anointed. So I have 2 comedy questions for you. One, as the commissioner of comedy, are there term limits, or is this a lifetime appointment? And 2, if there are term limits, okay, for being the commissioner of comedy, who are some comics you would nominate to succeed you?
So, first of all, my term limit ends after this interview, because I.
Oh, okay. No, I know. Yes, I burned it to the ground. That's.
I'm going back to the private sector after this. Man, I love. So I always looked at some people as like kind of comedy, like royalty, or just like had a position out here in New York. Like, I always thought, like, if there was a prom king and queen, it'd be like Ted Alexandro and Jessica Kirsten.
I can live with that. I can live with that.
They've always been like the people, like Ted's like fought like a union boss for us for years. And so he's kind of like on that level. And Jessica too. Jessica will help you with anything. I always said like the dean is Gary Goldman.
Yeah, love it.
Everyone looks at him for knowledge. Dante Nero to me would be like an underboss type guy. Like if I had a running mate,
a street level hero, kingpin, you know.
I would put him as my running mate, and we'd be okay. Dante is great on that.
Yeah, no one's rushing the stage, so.
Absolutely, and we miss a little bit of that because he does tend to be a little more aggressive and mean, for lack of better words, to young comics, which I don't want us to go back to the old ways, but we need a little bit of it, and he has enough of that. I'm going to tell you a perfect one when I was thinking about this. Commissioner of Comedy, Ophira Eisenberg to me would be absolutely outstanding as a commissioner. Okay. Out on the West Coast, I think Mike Lawrence would do a stellar job out there. He's out there now. Yeah, I mean, there's
those are I love all of that. And when you bring up people like Ted and Jessica and Gary in particular, when I think of them and my experience with them, what I love about them is that they're legends. They're absolutely awesome, but if you do a good job on stage, they're the first person smiling at you. They're the first person who wants to like tell you, hey, that was really good, because it feels like somebody did that for them and they feel like it's their job to do it. I got goosebumps just thinking about right now when I first moved back to New York from Los Angeles, and one of the first nights at Gotham where you and I met, and I was like, this guy has to be the other host of this show. You are the best. You are just the best. And I remember Jessica destroyed, and I walked up nervous to meet her, and she gave me a compliment. And it was in this business, that to me is a rare thing, not an everyday thing, where people love to see other people shine. And I love that. I love that you mentioned them. Okay, brother. Speaking of this, during the pandemic, okay, you have evolved with the times, and you have now been performing stand-up comedy in all of these outdoor venues, everything from the middle of Central Park to an outdoor amphitheater in the middle of Pennsylvania. So my question to you, as a comic who hasn't gotten to do that, I've been here since March, pretty much. I leave once a week in a hazmat suit.
You look so groomed, though.
Thank you.
Still taking care of yourself.
Thank you very much. Well, I've got nothing else to do. And, you know, besides playing video games, it's just trimming my beard. So my question to you is, what is the best part and what is the worst part of performing stand-up comedy outdoors?
All right, so let's get the worst part out. Like, the park shows can be difficult because sometimes you don't know who is actually listening. Sometimes people are doing calisthenics. Some people are just having a date on a blanket. Some people are making coke deals. There's always seems to be a squirrel trying to hump someone's leg or bludgeon them with their squirrely teeth while they're on stage performing. There's always that aspect.
You with squirrels, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There's squirrels. Sometimes it gets dark now at Central Park, and like a possum will run by you, and you're like, holy shit.
Wow, wow. I am not a fan of nature, outdoors, or animals, so I'm already knowing that missing some of this outdoor stuff is probably a good thing for me.
Yeah, I all due respect, I don't think this was this.
No. Oh, you're not the first person to say that to me, sweetheart. Even my wife was like, Russell, I don't think the outdoor shows are for you.
Figures another Italian would be the one who says it to you.
Yeah, no. Well, she loves you. She loves you. She said that she's missing this. She's upstairs working right now, but she's excited that we got to get together.
You'll be able to show
what's the best part?
It's gonna sound corny, but I talk about it in the pod, man. People are so grateful for these shows. Like when I do those amphitheaters in the PA area, it's a small town, and these people now are referring to Royersford, PA, and Spring City as like the capital of comedy now because they're getting everybody.
Comedy city or something, yeah.
It's getting that, and it's given like hope to some people to leave their house. And even when I do like these penthouse shows in New York, it's like everyone's watched everything on the internet. Everyone has seen every crevice of their apartment and knows everything about their significant other, is sick of everyone. And just for a few minutes, 70 minutes, 90 minutes, they get to leave and go somewhere different, outdoors, as safe as possible, and to see comedy. And special, and a lot of places it's still kind of illegal. There's a danger element to it, and it's kind of fun, and it's fun to watch how people are enjoying it this way. That comedy's like important right now again, and dangerous because there's just not that much entertainment.
I love it.
And it's good to have that without bullshit language. I know everyone's like, I can't say this anymore. Comedy's not edgy. Well, you could just write a better joke without using a slur that a group of people hates. But whatever.
Right.
But there's other ways, and now it's important to people.
You could just write a better joke. I'm sorry. I just love that. Put that on a plaque.
No, it's so crazy. I hear about it, and you know, we should be allowed to say things, and there's people who are definitely fighting for it. Like Judy Gold just put out a wonderful book about that, and it's great, and I adore Judy. And some people are hiding behind lazy writing and stereotypes and bullshit and saying that it's not, we can't say anything anymore. You still can. Just be funny and have a point, and also be cognitive of some people. That's a trigger word, and there's things that, you know, there's lines that can cross. Be more creative than that. How about it's so weird. We get these lines and people are like, well, how am I supposed to work? Sometimes creativity comes when you're in a goddamn box.
I think so. I think that some of the best stuff that I've ever had to write, like I had to write for Alan Thicke one time for Clear Channel Radio.
Yeah.
And it had to be all these different sketches and spots, and it had to be completely clean. Like even cleaner than clean because it was him. So to me, that was challenging. So when I heard the laughs or whatever, for me, it was the first time I think I'd ever even written anything that didn't have fuck every other.
Isn't it nice to have a challenge? There's that great line in Get Shorty, which is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, I love it.
Sometimes you do your best work with a gun to your head. Sometimes when you think that you can't do something and there's pressure and it's not who you are and there's parameters, that's when the best of you comes out. So, you know, look, I also don't like censorship and all that shit, but but there can be, when there's a little bit of rules, can help you go to a place that you weren't going to before. And isn't that what we're trying to do as artists? Sorry, we just totally sabotage that, but whatever.
No. And
maybe these questions can go wherever the fuck they want.
No. And also, what I say to younger comics sometimes is, if they ask me, I don't ever give advice, but if someone asks me, I always just say this, like, find a way to make it unique and yourself. Just find a way to, if you can find a way to be yourself, then what you say will be funny because people will feel like they're actually getting to know the authentic. I'm just saying it will write itself if you could just figure out a way to be yourself. That's what I think. So I don't think you should try to be funny. I think you should try to be yourself. So, well, I think you should try to be funny, but you know what I mean.
It's part of the job, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, don't try to write the funny, just try to write the funniest thing that you would say, not the funniest thing you think you should say.
There you go, Bubba.
This is what I was going to say, Bubba. This is the last one.
Oh, my.
You and I love to hang off stage when we're at shows, and we always get to talking about sports. One of my favorite nights in Atlantic City was meeting you and Anthony DeVito and just talking about basketball for 2 hours. I couldn't get, I could do that every night and be happy. But you're originally, like you said, from Las Vegas. And even though you love sports, besides UNLV basketball back in the day, like we've talked about, you had to find your love of professional teams elsewhere because Vegas didn't have them. You know, whereas I grew up here with like all four, but now you guys have the Raiders playing football. You guys have the Vegas Knights playing hockey there too. So here's my question, quick sports question. What was more exciting, UNLV winning the NCAA tourney back in like 89, 90 area, or the Vegas Knights winning a Stanley Cup their first year of existence?
Well, we didn't win that year. We got to the finals. We won the West.
Okay, but going to because here in Philadelphia, even going there would be a
we would have won. Especially, they started days after the tragedy and the shooting, and so that would have been insane. It still meant a lot. I thought, I'm sorry, in my memory, it doesn't matter to me. You guys being there was enough. So it still means a lot. So that's an interesting question, even like that. Winning the national title, but going to the Stanley Cup Finals your first year. They won their first game in the Stanley Cup Finals and lost the next four. With the
very
tragedy,
Philadelphia of them.
Yeah, well, the tragedy in the shadow though makes it really special. That almost might mean more, and it's also for a generation now that they have that was too young. I mean, it's almost like folklore to kids now.
Okay,
it's
but
like, we won something, UNLV.
But that's what and you guys had Larry Johnson, right? On UNLV.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, the sneakers I begged for were the Grandmama Larry Johnson React Juice.
Yeah.
Those were my like the brass rig of sneakers for me, and I did get them. So I loved Larry Johnson. I thought he was awesome.
Oh yeah, man, those teams were great. And now 8 people go to UNLV games. It's an
wow,
change.
okay.
It's just we used to all go when I go back for the holidays. We go to Rebel games, and now you go to Knights games, and then if you happen to go to a Rebels game, it's seriously. They're putting goddamn mice in the seat at this point.
Man, that's wild.
Insane.
That's wild because the Vegas Knights games look like a lot of fun, especially their whole opening number. It reminds me of the Van Damme movie Sudden Death when they couldn't use the real hockey or whatever it was, and then remember he fights the mascot. But Powers Booth owed that really over-the-top hockey team. So that's what the oh, hey, listen, any day we can get a reference to Jean-Claude Van Damme's sudden death into an interview, I think that we are winning.
Powers Booth. Don't sell yourself short on Powers fucking Booth, my friend.
Hey, listen, I understand that he is very conservative, but who has a better speaking voice than Powers Booth? Plus, he's on a lot of the DC animation, too.
Gorilla Grodd.
Grodd. I was just going to say, on Bruce Timm's Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. So one of our favorites. That's another subject we'll have to get into another time. Because
we'll talk comics.
Superheroes. So I just want to say, I can't thank you enough, Bubba, for joining me. Today on this pre-recorded interview. This is the first time we've done one of these, but that's really cool because we're also on YouTube. So ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and go to Paper House Network, go to iTunes, go to Spotify, and find James Mattern as the Commissioner of Comedy. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us, James, on season 2, episode 2.
Thank you, fam. Be well, baby. Late.
Love you, brother.
Love, fam. Love, love.